In this video, we are going to show you how to replace your downstream O2 sensor. To get started on our downstream O2 sensor, we're going to be inside the passenger compartment of the vehicle. Grab onto the emergency brake lever. Pull it up. Underneath that emergency brake lever, you're going to have a plastic trim panel right here. Carefully grab onto that and lift it up and out of the way. We'll give that a quick inspection. Set it aside. Now we're going to move rearward a little bit. Inside of that hole, you're going to find a screw. You can either use a 10mm or a Phillips head screwdriver. There's that. Once you have that bolt out of there, we're going to continue on by grabbing onto the center console. Carefully lift it up. You should want to unsnap along the front. Now we can lift it up, twist it, and remove it from the vehicle. Now with that out of the way, we're going to reach down into this area. Try to find this gray connector. This is the one for the O2 sensor. To remove the wiring, you're going to squeeze on this little tab. Once you have that squeezed, you should be able to release it. Check both ends for corrosion. We'll set that aside. Now before we continue by pulling this out of the bottom of the vehicle, we're going to tie some string on this. That way there, when we pull it down and out, the string will still be up in here, and when it's time to put in the new O2 sensor, we can tug the string on up and bring through our wiring. Now if you carefully pull the carpeting away, you can follow the wiring to the area where it goes through the body of the vehicle. Now that you see where the wiring goes through, you'll also notice that it has a rubber grommet that's in between the wiring and the body, so the wiring doesn't get damaged. Reach down in there and push the grommet through the bottom of the vehicle. There we are. I'll feed this down and through, and then we can carefully make our way underneath the vehicle. Now we're underneath the vehicle. We have a nice clear view of our downstream O2 sensor, which is after the catalytic converter. I have my string hanging down, so I'll go ahead and trim this. Now we can continue removing the O2 sensor from our exhaust pipe. To remove the O2 sensor, it's going to be easiest using an O2 sensor socket. Looks like this. It has a slot going through it for the wiring. Once you have that broken free, carefully remove it from the exhaust. There it is, friends. Now we can get ready to install our brand new downstream O2 sensor. You'll notice in the kit, it came with a little bit of copper never sees. You want to use a little dab of this along the threads of the O2 sensor. When you do this, you want to be extremely careful to get none of it on the sensing unit of the O2 sensor. It will damage it and you will have a check engine light. There we are. Now we'll continue screwing this in. We'll start it in by hand until it bottoms out. Continue tightening it with your O2 sensor socket. Right there, it feels as though it wanted to stop. I'll just make sure it's tight. Now let's tie our string onto the O2 sensor connector. Feed that up and through the body of the vehicle. What we're trying to do is force it past that carpeting area there. Once you have it up in there, you're going to want to pay attention to the rubber seal. Now looking at the rubber seal, you can tell it has a beveled edge, and then it turns into a flat area. In between the bevel and the flat area is a groove. The area where that groove is where the body of the vehicle needs to go. We'll carefully put this up into place. There it is, it's going. Once you feel as though you have it in there, double check it. Make sure it's sealed all the way around. You need to make sure there's no way for exhaust fumes or even dirt, debris, or water to make their way into the passenger compartment. Let's pull our wiring up here. Once you have the wiring up, go ahead and remove your string. Reconnect your O2 sensor, listen for a click. Give it a tug to make sure it's secure. After that, make sure you tuck it down in here so there's no way it can get broken or damaged. Once that's back in place, continue on with your center console. Before I slide it down, I want to show you along the front. You should have 2 push tabs. Looking at the body of the vehicle, you're going to have 2 holes for those to line up with. Now, as we slide this down, we'll make sure that it lines up and we'll latch it into place. You also want to make sure that the carpet is underneath the center console. You don't want it sticking out so it can get caught on something. We'll get those push tabs lined up. Give it a loving bonk to lock it in. Once you have that in there, continue on to the rearward screw. We just got to get this lined up with the hole. It can be a little bit difficult. Let's continue on to our rearward screw. You'll notice I have it on a magnet, so I can carefully put it down and inside the hole. Now I also have this lifted up a little bit on the rear, so I can reach my fingers underneath, grab onto the screw. Now I can slide this down into place. The screw should be in its proper hole. We'll start it in by hand. Snug it up. Now we can put on this plate for the emergency brake handle. The next thing we want to do is release the emergency brake. After that, go ahead and start up the vehicle. Let it run for a little while. Make sure you don't have a check engine light and no exhaust leak. Aside from that, thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.